Yeah. Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game.
I'm a headliner.
Yo, what is going on, Headliner Nation? Kyle back with the Fantasy Headliners, and I have got my top 50 wide receivers and top 20 tight ends for you here in week 6 of the NFL season. We got the hat on tonight. Why? Because we're going to be flying through these rankings, letting it flow 1 through 50, 1 through 20. So we got to get the hat turned backwards to really feel the vibe and the flow of the episode. But before I get into the rankings, hey, we are closing in on 500 YouTube members. We appreciate the support from all of you so much. And if you're willing and able to help us reach that goal, there is a link down in the description of this video to become a member. For only $4.99 a month, you get an extra live show during the week. You get extra content that's exclusive. You get some badges so your name stands out in the chat, and some emojis that you can use as well. So if you're willing and able to help us out by reaching that 500 goal this week, it would be greatly appreciated. But hey, it's time to roll, ladies and gentlemen. We got to talk about our rankings. Like I said, the hat. Let's get the hat on backwards to really feel the flow of the episode. And let's kick it off at the wide receiver position. Let's get it, ladies and gentlemen. Davante Adams at number 1 going up against Chicago, coming off a huge game last week. Tyreek Hill going up against the Washington football team, whose defense has been basically that's as good as they've been. Cooper Kupp against the New York Giants. Like him to bounce back this week. Also like him in the slot a lot more, getting away from some of that coverage from Jackson and Bradbury on the outside. Stephon Diggs, Tennessee allowing the second most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers and the most receiving yards to opposing wide receivers. Justin Jefferson going up against Carolina this week. I've got Adam Thielen just a little bit lower in the rankings in terms of upside. But again, don't forget, with these rankings, doing it a little bit different now, I'm looking at these rankings based on upside. Justin Jefferson, he's the guy there. DJ Moore against Minnesota, he's getting all of the targets in the world. Terry McLaurin in a matchup where they're going to be throwing a lot. Oh, baby. Terry McLaurin looking at a really, really good week coming up here. DeAndre Hopkins going up against Cleveland at number 8. DeAndre Hopkins just taking a little bit of a hit this season because Kyler is spreading the ball around a little bit more. Jamar Chase going up against Detroit. You got to love that upside. Cincinnati looking for something to prove this week. Mike Williams going up against Baltimore. The guy's been on fire. The number 1 wide receiver in all the NFL. The only reason that I have him down at 10 and not higher is because Keenan Allen still looms large there. Austin Eckler still looms large there. So Mike Williams, definitely a great play every single week, but in any given week, maybe Keenan Allen or Austin Eckler ball out just a little bit more. DK Metcalf coming in at number 11 this week, going up against Pittsburgh. Bounce back week for me, ranking him much higher this week, obviously. Deontay Johnson at number 12. No Juju Smith-Schuster, so Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool are going to see a pretty hefty bounce now. Keenan Allen going at number 13. He's kind of the safe guy in this offense now. He's no longer the big play guy, the high upside guy, so we got him a little bit lower. Chris Godwin at number 14. He's just the guy that I look at right now as being the safest bet for the most targets each week. CeeDee Lamb at number 15 going up against New England. Hopefully they keep it rolling there in the passing game. Lamb and Cooper both had good weeks last week. And then Mike Evans at 16 and Amari Cooper at 17. Mike Evans, again, he's kind of in the middle, right? He can have the highest floor, but also the lowest ceiling of any of those Tampa Bay wide receivers. Amari Cooper right now, he's playing he's playing well, right? He's a little bit more consistent than what Lamb has been, but Lamb on a weekly basis may end up having a little bit more upside. Cooper's just a little bit lower going up against New England. The run game is so good for Dallas right now. It's just kind of suppressing that wide receiver upside that we've seen in the past for these two. And Dalton Schultz obviously has made a huge difference this year. Chase Claypool at number 18. I like his upside this week going up against Seattle. His upside could probably even put him up a little bit closer to number 13. It just depends on how many targets he actually gets. A.J. Brown at number 19 going up against Buffalo, a really, really tough matchup. But if Julio Jones is back this week, that would be a great, great help to A.J. Brown, take a little bit of the pressure off. Antonio Brown at number 20. He has probably the second most highest upside, more upside than Godwin at this point. But again, too, who's to say who's going to be the guy in any given week with these three wide receivers? Marquise Brown at number 21. Great week last week. Has played really well the last 2 weeks. He's obviously a start for me this week. LAC. Kind of a tough matchup, even though they gave up quite a bit of points to the Browns last week, but they didn't give up a ton of points to the wide receivers, right? The wide receivers last week were kind of held in check like we talked about. It was David Njoku and the running backs. So Marquise Brown, a tougher matchup for the wide receivers. I expect his ceiling to come down a little bit this week. Brandon Cooks at number 22. I mean, I'd love his ceiling to be a lot higher, and it probably is based on him alone, but it's not based on the quarterback situation. Tyler Lockett at number 23. His ceiling could be a little bit higher as well, but when you take into account how low the floor is on any given week, it kind of brings it down and you put him kind of in the middle of where he could go. Cortland Sutton at number 24 against Las Vegas. Las Vegas is getting better and better and better each week going up against opposing defenses. I expect him to continue a trend this week, though, of being maybe not the high upside play that we saw like last week, but a guy that's going to get you maybe 10 targets, catch 6 of them, maybe 60 to 80 yards, somewhere in there. Scoring the touchdown is going to be the biggest factor, though. Robert Woods at number 25, a huge week last week, but being on the outside, again, kind of talked about that in the start and sit show. His ceiling is going to be limited this week, so hopefully they continue to make a concentrated effort to get him the ball, though. Adam Thielen at number 26, talked about it with DJ Moore. Thielen is a good wide receiver 2 this year. He's just not scoring enough to kind of reach that wide receiver 1 potential we've seen in the past. Michael Pittman Jr., huge game last week. Great to see. Hopefully he keeps it up against Houston. T. Higgins going up against Detroit. Ceiling would be a little bit higher for me too, but I just wonder, is he fully healthy? Is he 100% back? That's why I've got him a little bit lower. Emmanuel Sanders, a scoring machine right now for the Buffalo Bills against Tennessee. Gotta love it, but Stephon Diggs, I'm thinking Stephon Diggs. Huge game this week against Tennessee. I see that happening. Marvin Jones, I like his upside this week, but it's Sunday morning in London. That hurts it for me a little bit. Tyler Boyd at number 31. Again, I think Cincinnati's going to want to make a statement this week. I've got him there. Allen Robinson, I've got as a start. I've got him on the over on my prize picks bets going up against Green Bay. No Jair Alexander. I'd like to have him higher. I have him as a start. I'm feeling good about him having a good week this week. But with the way they've performed so far, that's why I have them lower, because you just got to be careful that maybe the ceiling isn't there like it has been. Jacoby Myers at number 33. I mean, good floor, but the dude doesn't score touchdowns. Darnell Mooney at number 34. Jacoby Myers was at 33. Darnell Mooney at 34. I'd like to have him a little bit higher, but if I think it's Allen Robinson week, it's not necessarily going to be all Darnell Mooney week. Devonta Smith on Thursday night going up against Tampa Bay. He's seen a decent amount of targets, but the only problem is that he doesn't have the upside. He's not making a ton of big plays right now. He's not putting up the type of yards that you'd like to see out of maybe a mid wide receiver too. Jalen Waddle at number 36. Is Devontae Parker going to end up going this week? If he doesn't, we got to move Jalen Waddle up a little bit. Odell Beckham Jr. at number 37. He is a sit for me this week. But again, if I'm doing my rankings based on ceiling, he's probably got a little bit more ceiling than being outside the top 50. Laviska Shenault Jr. Again, why are we giving so many targets to Agnew and Austin? Hopefully they figure their crap out this week, get the targets to Laviska Shenault, but we can't rely on much more upside than where I've got him right here. Tim Patrick, I've got him here for that touchdown upside. He is a sit for me this week because I think the floor is extremely low, but at number 39, if he scores a touchdown, he probably falls right in this area. Kadarius Toney's a start for me this week at number 40, but going up against the Rams, really low ceiling. Who's going to be back this week? A lot of questions about Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton. They've made some sort of a concentrated effort to practice now. Are they going to be ready to go by Sunday, though? Henry Ruggs at number 41. Decent upside. Denver isn't the best matchup. Hunter Renfrow against Denver at number 42. Both these guys, same team. Ruggs, much more upside than Renfrow at this point, but his inconsistencies keep the ceiling from being much higher. Christian Kirk at number 43 going up against Cleveland. Cleveland got absolutely blasted on defense last week by the Chargers. Can Arizona do the same thing? If they do, Christian Kirk, AJ Green, who I've got at number 45, DeAndre Hopkins, all of them should be fine. Who knows? Rondell Moore could also make it in there. Robbie Anderson at number 44 going up against Minnesota. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen soon, right? I've talked about it. He's got like 16 targets over the last 2 weeks. He's just not catching many of them. Can him and Darnold get on the same page? Are they going to make the effort to get him involved, to try and get him in some situations a little bit more to win? We'll see this week if it happens. At 46, Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Detroit Lions. Maybe the wide receiver one right now. Quintez Cephas, done. Broken collarbone. Obviously, Khalif Raymond has been a little bit up and down, but Amon-Ra St. Brown is the guy over the last couple of weeks who has the most targets by a lot for this team. Randall Cobb for the Green Bay Packers going up against Chicago. Talked about it in the start and sit show. I like him out of the slot going up against Chicago this week. Mecole Hardman at number 49. Van Jefferson at number 50. Both of these guys are sits for me. But again, when you look at the matchups, when you look at the potential, when you look at what could happen, both of these guys, yeah, they could end up having a decent game that put them right in this area. For Mecole Hardman, I think he could be a little bit higher going up against Washington. But really, who's the wide receiver 2 actually going to be? Now, let's move on over to the tight end position and keep it rolling with the top 20 there. Travis Kelce going up against Washington. Darren Waller going up against Denver. Both of these guys, 1 and 2 every single week. Mark Andrews at number 33. Coming off that huge week. He's really done a lot better the last few weeks. Glad to see it. Hopefully you all took my advice a few weeks ago and just held steady with him. Dawson Knox, one of the best tight ends in the league right now in terms of statistics. Going up against Tennessee. He's taking a lot of that work that Cole Beasley used to get, and he is turning that into one heck of a performance this year. I've got Zach Ertz all the way up at number 5. Why? Because of this recording, no Dallas Goedert. Zach Ertz runs a route on 93% of their passing plays. He is truly being a receiving threat for this team, and I expect that to continue, and what could be a huge matchup for him this week. Mike Gesicki, as of right now, Jacoby Brissett, still expected to start. No word on Tua yet. Mike Gesicki's right here at number 6. If Tua were to start, Gesicki probably drops outside the top 12 for me. Dalton Schultz at number 7. Would like to have him higher, but again, you've got so many weapons there that, yes, on any given week, Dalton Schultz could have a fantastic week, but so could anybody else, and maybe Dalton Schultz gets left out of it, and again, the running game doing so well right now. Noah Fant going up against Las Vegas, made the call to sit him last week. It worked out. Now I'm making the call to start him, and what could be a very, very good matchup for him. TJ Hockenson all the way down to number 9 for me right now. Why? Because, number 1, banged up. Is he hurt right now? Is he struggling to perform because of that? And number 2, someone actually pointed this out in the comments last week, so I went and took a look. He might be blocking a little bit more right now because of the injuries that they've had on the offensive line. So if he's blocking a little bit more, that's obviously taking away some potential targets. Great point out. I would love to give you credit, but I tried to save it and then I lost the comment, so I apologize, but whoever you were, thank you for pointing that out. That was a really great point. It caused me to go back in and dive in a little bit more to that situation. So ceiling's a little bit lower for me right now. Hunter Henry going up against Dallas. I mean, I would like to put him a little bit higher, but I got to see some more consistency with it over the next couple of weeks. He's looked good the last 2 weeks. So Jared Cook at number 11 going up against Baltimore. Baltimore has been burned by some tight ends, some very good tight ends this year. But I mean, in his own right, Jared Cook's a pretty good tight end. Tyler Higbee at number 12. Loving the potential this week. Hopefully we get him back on track. Dan Arnold at number 13. Dan Arnold becoming a thing going up against Miami. Love his potential this week. Ricky Seals-Jones at number 14 is the start for me going up against Kansas City. No Logan Thomas. They have a lot of people hurt right now. Evan Ingram at number 15 going up against the Rams. Tough matchup. But again, if their wide receivers are hurt, banged up, there's going to be potential for a lot of targets. But I've got them a little bit lower right now because even if the targets are there, I'm still waiting to hear on what's going on with Slayton and Shepard. David Njoku, Jonnu Smith, Tyler Conklin, Mo Alley-Cox, and Cameron Brate. All of these guys are sits for me, but I've got them ranked here in terms of upside. I'd love to see Njoku just go off again this week and really become a true passing threat in the offense. Jonnu Smith definitely could score on any given week. week, right? And that's one of the reasons why looking at Jonnu Smith, we're keeping inside the top 20 right now because he has that touchdown potential, even if Hunter Henry has the volume potential right now. Tyler Conklin's been seeing a few more targets come his way recently. Mo Alley Cox has played well the last couple of weeks. Will that continue versus Houston this week, or will there not be enough passing opportunities because maybe Indianapolis just runs over them? And then Cameron Brate at number 20 with no Rob Gronkowski this week. Obviously, he's got a chance to score as well. Woo! 70 players for you, all ranked in order. Wide receivers, tight ends, top 50, top 20. Appreciate you all. Thanks so much for tuning into this video. Do me a favor before you get out of here, though. Hit that like button if you appreciate the content. And if you're new here to the Fantasy Headliners, you gotta subscribe, baby. And then leave me a comment down below. Someone I'm too high on, someone I'm too low on, someone you would move. Be respectful about it. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here, though, because you got to get a lineup set for Thursday Night Football. Everybody stay safe. Have a great rest of the day. Peace out. And I'll see y'all on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.